Hi everyone. Welcome to today's team meeting. It is Monday, December 28th, 2020, and we are between holidays in the middle of Kwanzaa. So happy holidays to everybody. So we still meet. I still upload these videos even though we're in the middle of the holidays, because if there's any small nugget of anything from my life that I can share with you to connect, I'm willing to do it. So I had a whole plan here. I was going to film here in the Arizona weather to show you how beautiful it is, but it's super windy. And so I did the video and I listened to it to make sure that I could understand it, because I figured the wind might be too loud, and it was too loud. So I had to do this again, but that's okay. I would rather you be able to hear me than for me to be so committed to sitting on that bench in that park. So this is where we're at, and hopefully you can hear me quite fine. And so today's agenda is getting out of your comfort zone. That's what we're going to talk about. Before we do, I like to talk a little bit about everyday life things that I'm observing, and I was going to give you an update on where I'm at with different things. So with the podcast, I have been working on my first episode, and that'll tie into our getting out of your comfort zone theme, because I am so out of my comfort zone with this podcast. Oh my gosh, I have practiced like 3 times. I've listened to my voice, and I've voice recorded myself on my phone, and it has been, oh my gosh, it's a work, because I don't know. Okay, I don't like the sound of my voice. I don't really like it, okay? So that's the truth. I never have. Even as a kid, I didn't like to listen to myself when I was recorded, okay? I don't like to listen to my voice in any way. But that's life. So I have to do it. Anyway, that's me getting out of my comfort zone. That's an update. I'm still working on it. I'm planning to get that first episode uploaded very soon. Second, I'm working on my offer for Etsy. It's going to be quote cards. I'm hoping that you buy them. They're quotes from me, not Gandhi. So hopefully you will be able to see value added in reading those quotes and being inspired or inspired to laugh, or inspired to move, inspired to relax in any way. That's my goal. So that's in the works. Both things are moving forward. Another thing I noticed, I was reading online, and there's this basketball player. His name is Kyrie Irving. And it was a funny article, not really funny. I'm sure he wasn't trying to be funny. I think he used to play, and I may get this completely wrong, but I think he used to play for the Boston Celtics NBA team. And I don't think he had a good run with them. So I think he was traded or let go. I don't know if he was let go. I don't know if it was a friendly exchange, or they said get out of here, or what. Anyway, I think he's with the Brooklyn Nets now. See, I'm probably getting all the facts wrong, but so it was either a preseason game or a game early in the season a couple weeks ago, and he was I think playing the Celtics. Prior to the game starting, he was walking around the court with a big old piece of sage, clearing the atmosphere, and everybody was making fun of him. And I just thought it was really interesting, because I think people use sage. I don't have any sage, but I think people use it to clear energies, to clear previous experiences and any lingering thought patterns that they may have about the experience, or any kind of lingering energy. Like, this is new age talk for many people, but I get it. As a person of faith, I get it, that there's energy, that there's spirits, that there are things that are non-seen that can influence behaviors. I get it. But this big hulky basketball player walking around with this swooshy sage and going around saying whatever he says, whatever you say when you want to clear the atmosphere with sage. And the fact that he did that and risked all the backlash of people saying, really? Because I'm sure in that culture, the sports culture, showing up with sage as opposed to using your physical prowess or trash talk to get your point across about clearing energy instead of just cussing at people. I mean, I'm sure he knew people were gonna come at him, but he didn't care. He still did it. Which leads us to this point. Getting out of your comfort zone. I have been out of mine since I left corporate America. Thank you, COVID, this year, and adopted a child in the same month. Thank you, COVID. I say thank you for both. I'm happy for both. I'm really happy with the circumstances, but it has put me in out of my comfort zone. For 20 plus years, I have been in corporate America, leading large groups and complex projects and not wearing Nike shirts to meetings, right? But this has forced me out of my comfort zone in a very abrupt way. I started doing these videos first as a way to connect with people during COVID, to say, hey, what are y'all doing? I'm on my bike, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. I was wearing a hat. Sometimes I'm wearing a ball cap. Sometimes I'm dressed up. Sometimes my daughter's in the videos with me, but it's very personal. It's very transparent. And I decided to make that connection. And then I decided, hey, it makes sense to be the name of my podcast, which is the Team Meaning Podcast. But it has caused me, I think on one video I was crying. I didn't expect to do that. It wasn't like scripted. Okay, this is the part where you cry. And I had done a really long ride, and I said, I'm riding for you. And I meant that in that moment. And I still mean it. I'm riding for you. I'm just not on a bike at the moment. And I started crying because I just the enormity of what everybody's going through, with people dying in their families, with physical loss, with canceled plans, with restrictions, with businesses in struggle, with people who lost jobs, all these things. I just felt it. And so I started crying in videos. It's not something I do. I mean, I'm a sharer. I share my information. I share parts of my life. I overshare. I've been known to overshare as well. But to be without makeup, sometimes looking tore up, sometimes hair done, sometimes hair piled up, sometimes Nike shirts, sometimes in the garage where you see all my boxes and things. It's very personal. It's out of my comfort zone. So even a person you think like me who's okay with sharing, that's a lot to share as well. I mean, I'm showing you my space, my emotions, my heart, my struggles, my victories. And so it has been a journey for me as well. And I already know the importance of comfort zones. I used to talk about this all the time when I taught cycling. I would say, how are you getting out of your comfort zone? Because the resistance that you're turning this bike up to is your training. This is your training in this classroom. Go use it outside this classroom. I said it all the time, and I meant every word of it. But I too needed to make sure that I was turning up the resistance in the class that would help me to realize, you turn it up in class, you practice being uncomfortable here in this space, on this bike, in this classroom, so you can go and use it in your life. I'm using it. I'm starting a podcast. Never done that before. I have no idea how. I'm starting a business. I never expected to be a business owner. I'm learning how. I'm going to make mistakes. But it's no different from me. Like this week, I've been thinking about recipes. Life is like a recipe. There's some things that you're going to make. They're like, that didn't taste too good, but I learned that I'm not going to put so much of this ingredient in. Too much salt, too much Cajun seasoning, too much pepper, too much butter, or it stayed in the oven too long. But that doesn't mean I don't keep trying to cook. Same with you with experiences. Maybe you were in a relationship and you were taken advantage of. Maybe you're in a relationship and you just didn't connect and you were afraid to express your needs. That doesn't mean you don't get in another relationship. Maybe you're a parent and you snapped at your child, or you were too harsh with your punishment, or maybe you are not connecting with them the way you should. It doesn't mean you're not a good parent. It means you're a parent who's learning, a parent who's growing. It doesn't mean you don't stop. You got to get out of your comfort zone to think that you are going to be perfect at everything. You're going to be really bad at something sometimes. If you want to be good, you got to be bad sometimes. I have been uncomfortable in all kinds of parts of the world. Because of work, I've traveled all over the United States and beyond to other countries, and I've had an opportunity to be out of my comfort zone and out of my country. I've been to the Philippines so many times. Shout out to my friends in the Philippines who may be watching, my former colleagues. I love y'all. And so I've been in the Philippines where they have had harsh typhoons. Is that what they call them, typhoons? I don't think they call them hurricanes. I think they call them typhoons. The kind that knock out the power for days. The kind where you would see huge trees knocked over. And they, as a culture, know how to navigate all the way around that and still find ways to go to work, even if for a couple days they're offline and they're working to make sure they're safe and their family is safe. They roll with the punches. But for scary little Americans like me, are like, we don't even do well when our cable goes down. We're like, what? And there's some parts of the U.S. that get hurricanes and such, and they get out of power. It's like, oh my God, they're without power. I look and I think, oh, what are you gonna do with the food in the fridge, right? So I've been in those uncomfortable zones where you're like, oh my God. Of course, I'm in the privileged part, right? Either, they send all the Americans or the non-Filipinos home and say, not home, back to your hotel where you can have a generator and a safety and still have your cable and still get your room service, even if the whole country is suffering from a typhoon. I've been lost in Paris in the middle of the night, like 10 or 11, coming home from shopping, having a bang up day. Went to the Adidas store, got some Stella McCartney leggings, and I love them. I still have them. I felt so good shopping in Paris. But I got so lost coming home from shopping. I had to ask for help. I had to be wise with it. But I was so out of my comfort zone. I have been in not Korea. Oh my God. I have been in Hong Kong. And I've never been to Korea. Maybe someday. I've been in Hong Kong where there have been student protests with the government. And it might have been perceived as like not the safest thing to do, to be in the middle of potential conflict between the two. But I was there in South, Hong Kong. And I saw it. I saw the students lined up with all the blankets and things because they plan to stay there for the long term. On a lighter note, I've gotten out of my comfort zone and said, I'm going to go do something social in another country by myself. So I love the circus. So I went to Cirque du Soleil in Montreal. I did it. I had a wonderful time. I went to Cirque du Soleil in Singapore. And I took several trains to do it. I had a great time. I go to consignment shops to shop and find beautiful clothing and unique gifts in Montreal. Because you got to get out of your comfort zone to explore life. You can't just sit there. So maybe your comfort zone is you need to have a difficult conversation with somebody to set a boundary or to tell them what you need. Maybe you're a parent who needs to connect with their child in a way on things that they like, but it's excruciating pain because you don't want to get into it. The game they like, the movie they like, the TV series that they like, but you got to get in there and get out of your comfort zone. Maybe you need to learn how to do something that you've always wanted to do but never thought you had the time. Go to YouTube. Google has a lot of good information. Go to YouTube. YouTube it. Since I've started a business and I've started the podcast, I have never Googled things more in my entire life. And I'm not trying to be an ad for Google. But Bing or Yahoo, do a search. Find some information so that you can grow. Get out of your comfort zone to learn a new sport. Or if your partner loves a sport and you don't know much about it, sit next to them on the sofa with your favorite drink and watch the whole thing and learn something. Okay. What I'm going to end up here is call to action. Where are you going to get out of your comfort zone? That's your action for today. We do our actions, right? So put in the comments. What are you doing to get out of your comfort zone? Does it need to be big? But it does need to be action. Out of the comfort zone is where the growth occurs. I am rooting for you. I think you're awesome. And I don't mind sharing my experience with you so that we all grow. What's your experience with getting out of your comfort zone? Okay? That's the action. Let's go for it, y'all. Talk soon.